Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Sonic the Hedgehog here, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PlayStation Vita, Nintendo Wii U, Nintendo 3DS, and of course PC Steam versions. So, yeah, last time we actually did manage to completely done with everything on every single track in Rogue Cup, and to be honest, I think we actually did that pretty good actually. See, Fernando, yeah, today for this episode is the fact that we're about to be continue on the Grand Prix mode of all scheme of things, is the fact that we're going to be moving on to an Emerald Cup. So, now if you guys can clearly tell at this point, this is actually my second attempt for this recording session, is because, well, nothing to do with any issues on any forms of the actual gameplay effects or anything like that, but for whatever reason, whenever I was trying to able to start things up with this particular video, for some reason I stumbled across a glitch whenever I managed to decide to able to actually choose what character should I even go for. Like, for instance, for example, there's a character called Alex Kidd, which I'm sure many people already know when I explained about this before, that to actually access to him, you must able to actually set the calendar to, like, Christmas Day back in 2012, but for whatever reason, I just seems to stumble across he's missing. But after realizing about the fact that I did manage to reset everything on my Xbox 360 system, well, he was there still. See, Fernando, that everything else should be fixed at this point. See, Fernando, yeah, because he was there now. See, Fernando, I don't have to worry about this kinds of stuff. See, Fernando, for the time being now, let's just go ahead and continue on with this video. See, Fernando, let's just go ahead and select, since this is after all an Emerald Cup that we're about to be participate on, I think we should probably go ahead and select Knuckles the Echidna for today, because after all, he's the only one who can able to actually protect the Master Emerald from the Angel Island. See, Fernando, let us get into the forms of the Emerald Cup. See, Fernando, the tracks are by the forms of the Emerald Cup is consist of, which there are Dream Valley, and Chili Castle, and also Graffiti City, my least favorite track in the game, and finally by the forms of, Century Falls. See, Fernando, I think Emerald Cup is going to be most likely going to be focusing on a lot of flying to deal with. Well, the only track exception is of course Chili Castle, so because of that, we have to deal with, like, both the cart or the car vehicle, and especially noticeable with the boat section. See, Fernando, at least by the forms of Dream Valley, that the first track we're about to be racing on the Emerald Cup is going to be most likely focusing on flying, because obviously we can't do it in a car, because obviously there's going to be too many hills and all that stuff. See, Fernando makes it obvious. So, yeah, today was actually forms of the 7th of March in 2019, so tomorrow, that Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn on the Nintendo 3DS will be releasing tomorrow. Well, it did already release that during the likes of in Japan already, but until tomorrow, specifically on the North America and I believe Australia as well, and our countries as well, United Kingdom, that game will be released tomorrow. See, Fernando, that I'm actually looking forward to able to replay the game again, but this time on the portable device and also take it on the go. I wish if there was to be expected if I was able to play it on the go on the Switch version, but turns out it wasn't. So even then, that's how I think it is for the time. So Fernando, I'll give my first impressions of the actual Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn until whenever when me and Pinkie Pie will eventually gonna come back into Super Mario Party after some recording sessions of this game, because as a result for this matter, that Team Sonic Racing should be getting closer to release at this point, especially because of how the fact that, well, I believe we're almost getting quite close towards the end, or in this case by the forms of the halfway point of the Grand Prix mode somehow. See, Fernando, because of that, well, we are doing the third cup in the game, obviously, which is of course the Emerald Cup, and as a result, that's what I can really think about. So, and few things I want to explain about this actually is the fact that, well, in addition with the forms of how the fact that Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn should be released tomorrow on the, the English version of the game, and also by the forms of how the fact that around the same day actually, well, technically not during the likes of that specific day, but recently today that Nintendo actually announced that there's going to be another new lineup of the forms of the toy cons by the forms of the Nintendo Labo. And this time around though, it's going to be interesting because last time we did have the forms of Nintendo Labo selection, and that was the forms of the, well, the card kits, which is because of how the fact that the actual, like, before when Mario Kart 8 Deluxe did manage to feature that update on, you know, Nintendo Labo system. But even then though, this time around though is going to be interesting because for the first time ever, at least technically ever since in Virtual Boy in, you know, for Nintendo's part, but despite the fact that Nintendo Boy doesn't sell well and commercial-wise it's gone a gigantic failure, and even then, that there are some games for the Virtual Boy, they are considerably good, at least one of them anyway, which is ironically Wario Land for the Virtual Boy, because even then, I've heard so many good things about the game, because even then, he plays exactly like Wario Land for the Game Boy, but on the actual, like, 2D to 3D perspective. Well, not so much for 3-dimensional look, but in the forms of, like, you know, the foreground and the background system. So even then, that makes it clearly obvious. So, anyways, enough about that. This time around, there's going to be the virtual reality mode. So even then, note that because of that, well, I'm actually being very curious to see how that will actually turns out to be. Even though, as far as I've noticed, that is the fact that unlike in most virtual reality devices, specifically the you know, the most recent virtual reality device by the forms of made by the PlayStation company, or in this case the Sony company, they did manage to able to make the actual virtual reality device super expensive at this point, because obviously due to the actual hardware or some capabilities they actually going to be worked around with. I don't know if I can able to get that device though yet, even though aside from to get that though, alongside with the forms of Kingdom Hearts virtual reality experience, which even then, speaking of which, is the fact that Kingdom Hearts virtual reality experience did already sort of released in English at this point, but seems more accurately though that we only got like 2 segments at the moment, which there are Destiny Islands and the Gummy Ship parts so far. But eventually it'll start to able to actually make it a little bit more than that until in the future. But even then though, that yeah, I'm actually very curious to able to try out the virtual reality for you know, for the PlayStation 4 at some point in the future. But for now on though, with the Nintendo Labo Joy-Con number 4, or in this case Toy-Con number 4, which is of course virtual reality, I'm actually being very curious to see how this will goes out, because even then, not only does it able to contain by the forms of the actual virtual reality headset or something like that, oh yeah, we've actually unlocked the new mod for Knuckles, and we got ourselves the acceleration mod. So even then though, that should be pretty good, all in all. So even then though, that should be a pleasant surprise. So, and of course we're going to be moving on to the next track in the forms of the Emerald Cup, and that is of course Chili Castle. Even though, unfortunately though, I didn't even get anything from the roulette, as you can see right there, because I don't have enough tokens to able to use those. So, oh well, I guess we'll have to cope without them. So, unless if we keep on like, you know, grabbing them from the actual tracks themselves. So, here we go, into Chili Castle, here we go. Even though I still really found this track to be quite tricky sometimes. Oh, there we go. So yeah, as you can see right there, if you manage to able to actually time your trigger button like several times worth noting for, whenever the actual like countdown goes to like 3, 2, or 1, but you have to do it at the right timing though, because if you do that at the right timing, that way that your boost meter, or in this case the actual starting boost, starts to change colors. Like if you do it just once, you get a red flame. Now I'm pretty sure enough if you do it twice, then you get a purple flame. And I believe the third and the final one, I'm presuming you get is like a light blue effect. So naturally, that's how essentially how this will go, which I didn't even learn that up until at this point right about now. So yeah, you can get the idea for that situation's worth noting for. So, but yeah, again, as far as getting the actual like virtual reality with Nintendo Labo, as far as I'm concerned, even though I said this like countless amount of times, at least ever since back in about a year ago or something like that, I don't think we can able to get to buy most of those Nintendo Labo stuff, because, well, obviously I don't have that enough room able to actually store them. And plus, in addition with that, we might actually still save some of the cash for now by the forms of, well, not to mention by the forms of, as I said this before, Team Sonic Racing for both the PlayStation 4 and especially noticeable with the Nintendo Switch version. Obviously, PlayStation 4 version just to play us on our own time, to be able to get used to how the main mechanics of the game. And the Nintendo Switch version is the fact that much like in forms of how it does in Sonic Media, and especially noticeable with Sonic Forces, that we're able to actually do a Let's Play on that Nintendo Switch version. So because of that, that's the thing we always like to do. So, I digress. So, yeah, and also same applies by the forms of trying to save up by the forms of, you know, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled for the PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch at the same time. But even then, though, that the only difference is here. Although, what's worth pointing out right away is the fact that alongside with Team Sonic Racing for the PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch, I might also decide to able to pre-order, for those of you bronies may actually decide to notice this, I'm actually going to be pre-ordering myself My Little Pony Friendship is Magic Season 6 DVD box set, because after all, when it comes to the UK releases of the actual box sets nowadays, even though that it's still rather late whenever we get ourselves the later volumes or the later seasons at this point in time, but because of that though, I believe we're actually on to, at this point I believe, when it gets to like May or sometime, I believe it's on May the 20th, a day before Team Sonic Racing comes out. Naturally, that we're up to 6 seasons at this point when it comes to DVD box sets at this point now. So we're off by, I think we only got 3 more left until the entire series is being fully completed. But even then though, that we'll find out and see what happens until at some point in during later down for this year, especially noticeable in at some point. I don't really know about 2020 though, but even then we'll find things out during that time. But for now, let's just go ahead and just drift along on the actual water quickly. And yeah, because of that, that you know I said this before, that Emerald Cup is gonna be like gonna be filled with some tracks that is gonna be most likely focusing on flying most of the time. Well, only one exception, which is of course Chile Castle, because I don't think there's any emphasis on flying. So other than you can just drive around the road, and especially noticeable you can actually drive on water on the boat. So yeah, that's that for Chile Castle, and to be honest, I actually did that pretty okay on that, even though there's only that one time annoying moment where the computer's AI can really able to actually desperately want to get these items nowadays, even though that still this is on normal difficulty, I have to be honest here, just because, well, you know, you get the idea for that point. Oh no, we're going back to Graffiti City again. Oh jeez. Welcome back, my friend, welcome back. So, seriously, although I will say though that I really love the atmosphere of the forms of Graffiti City so far, but to be honest, I'm not exactly a huge fan of the actual track layouts, to be honest, because either way, the only problem I have with this is that, oh, I screwed up with that boost start, okay. That's fine by me. But I digress. It's just that it just feels kind of difficult to able to actually just to drift along, and to make matters even much more trickier than that, well, along the same lines as the forms of how it does it from Burning Depths, and especially noticeable with the forms of Race of Ages, one of those, you know, most of the tracks in the game can always utilize me to get screwed over most of the time. And one thing is actually kind of annoying though for me though is that once again, that whenever I manage to play this on my own time, like consistently, whenever I trying to able to actually just to grind for more stars in World Tour mode, once again my 360 seems to able to occasionally freeze it sometimes, or in this case like game freezing, which I don't know, is something to do with the forms of the actual fans of my Xbox 360 on the back console, but even then I might as well able to double check in and see for myself, or in this case it could be something a little bit different when it comes to that effect, but I don't know, it's just one of those days and how the fact that I just cannot believe that I attempted able to get screwed over. Well, luckily for me though, it did manage to auto-save whenever I complete a mission, whenever I was trying to do the expert difficulty on my own time or off screen. But naturally though, that it can be rather annoying at times because you have to go through every single like loading screens, and to make matters even much more iffy than that is the fact that, well, you're gonna have to keep on like sitting through buddy forms of like you know, skippable logos, and especially noticeable with the actual like loading times. The only time you can skip though is of course the intro, so you can know that makes it obvious. So, but again, there's not much else you can really talk about this at this point though. So you can know, yeah, very interesting day. So you can know that because of that, well, you know, tomorrow we've got the new Kirby game. Well, I won't say, oh, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, really? Does it push me back from here? Oh, that's just not fair. Anyways, though, yeah, aside from able to actually just releasing another Kirby game port, or in this case by the forms of the actual, yeah, just a port in general, but either way, at least in the forms of back on the Nintendo DS for about 10 years ago, that at least they did manage to remake the forms of Kirby Superstar from the Super Nintendo to the Nintendo DS at that one point, to able to add not only by the forms of the updated visuals, but also by the forms of new content here and there. So at least we got able to actually got that at least, but either way. So yeah, you get the idea for that little stimulating part, and unfortunately there's not much else you can really say about this at this point. See, Nintendo, that I'm actually be very curious to see how virtual reality is going to turn out on the actual Nintendo Switch for Nintendo Labo. And I believe it's going to be releasing at some point in, I believe sometime in April, specifically April the 12th, as far as what I've heard about that correctly, which I'm assuming it was actually like, you know, the usual Friday, because in most of these video games these days, they always attempt to be releasing in every single freaking Fridays, which either way, well, some days exceptions by the forms of North America and Japan especially, but even then though, because they actually act out pretty slightly different, well, the majority of the time is of course the Nintendo Switch games, because either way, they're about to be releasing on the exact same day in between those three countries, which is, you know, North America and UK, and especially noticeable with Japan as well. So yeah, that's how it goes. So, but anyways though, and of course the next Nintendo Switch game I was really hoping for, which is of course Yoshi's Crafted World, which either way, I'm still looking forward to it, and well, I'm actually be very curious to be able to try that out, even though that game is, oh no, don't you dare, Ralph. Oh jeez, you're trying to able to conquer the race right there after we decided to catch me up. But I did manage to take his victory, or in this case, I did manage to take my victory for that part right there. At least as far as I'm trying to able to actually deserve that, so, well, at least Ralph, you know, you'll deserve second place. But either way though, I gotta admit though right away, he's actually doing pretty well at this, this cup so far. But either way though, well, it wasn't until whenever we get to the final track in the forms of the Emerald Cup, which is of course, as you can see there, we are now traversing through the air. Well, sometimes in the air, in between the first lap and the third and the final lap. But the second lap, we always have to able to actually just to explore this place while simply driving on the road. So, yeah, you get the idea. And sadly for me, I have no items for that item roulette slot, so that's kind of a shame. But anyways though, let's get this thing to it. So, let's it go. I have no idea why I say let's it go. It's supposed to be Mario's catchphrase, but I digress. So, yeah, unfortunately though, for those of you able to do not know at this rate, is the fact that, unfortunately, one of the actors by the forms of the hilariously awful Donkey Kong Country TV series, by the forms of the voice of Cranky Kong, that I think his voice is actually by the forms of, I would say Larry, but I don't know exactly what his surname that it is. Unfortunately, he did pass away, which I don't know why. But even then, well, he was aged about like 84 years old for that time, which is actually pretty good age to able to still live on. But even then, though, I cannot even believe that he's been growing really old. Even if by the forms of how the fact that he's almost there to able to actually reach into the 100-year mark. Well, slightly almost, but either way though, that's just how I think it is. So, anyway though, that's not what I was gonna say. Aside from apologize by the forms about the fact that I just keep on like getting awkward silence going on right there, because once again these chili dogs just managed to able to actually just give me belches most of the time, which I always attempt to eat those chili dogs every now and then, which I'm sure enough I still do to make my speed a little bit more faster than everything else. So yeah, that's as far as I can say. So yeah. Alright, so let's go ahead and just launch ourselves. Well, I technically missed that because obviously Ralph, he's the only one he did manage to able to actually call up. Just his shot. Okay, so we got ourselves another achievement, so that's pretty cool. So I don't know if I can able to actually get myself the PlayStation 3 version of the game on you know, for Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, so if I can able to actually grab more trophies than ever. But even then, I'll find things out for myself, because even then, well, to be honest with you guys, other than the fact that I'm still saving up by the forms of like some of the cash at the time, that I'm still gonna save up by the forms of like, you know, Super Mario Maker 2, and especially noticeable with the forms of, well, obviously with the forms of Team Sonic Racing, both versions, for one from playing it on my own time, and another versions that I can able to do a Let's Play on, because it's pretty unfair about the fact that there was no save files on the forms of most of these games nowadays, even by the forms of the, well, it does have save files on the Kingdom Hearts series, which is very, very awesome, so that way I can able to do a Let's Play of these. But other than the fact that, well, you know, aside from all that, you can only have to do with one save file, which either way, that it does attempt to like, well, I don't mind about it too much nowadays, because I'm usually, back in the day, whenever I'm more accustomed to the forms of like multitude of save files, well, normally 3 or 4, it all depends, but even then, I just really, well, sorry, I forgot what I just said there, so anyways, yeah, that's it for this discussion for the most part, folks, other than the fact that we've almost nearly towards the end of our, Let's Play of, Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. For the most part though, for the multitude of platforms obviously. However though, when it comes to doing the actual Let's Play of Team Sonic Racing for specifically for the Nintendo Switch on the actual like recording section department, and I think whenever I was going to be able to do that Let's Play, I think we should probably do that at some point in I would say in October sometime. Or even then, no, it all depends though, really. Or sometime in 2020 in the weekend projects or something like that. But even then, no, who knows? Even then, no, it might be a little bit too early to predict at the moment. So even then, no, I believe that was it for the forms of the Emerald Cups. Even then, no. And yeah, we got ourselves another sticker, so which is obviously just this shot. So yeah, that's as far as we can go for this point. So yeah, 3 cups down, and I believe we only got about 2 more normal cups left, and after that, then we're about to be moving on to the second half of, you know, the Grand Prix mode, which is of course the mirrored mode. So even then though, but again, I wasn't able to actually just to show off those and doing at some point, because I don't think we've actually like, you know, actually unlocked every single of those mirror versions of the tracks themselves, to be honest. So that's why I've decided able to go for that stuff. So even then though, once again we got ourselves the award ceremony, but this time around, Knights, she was in 3rd place, Wreck-It Ralph, or in this case Ralph, he's in 2nd place, even though he's not a big fan of claiming himself 2nd place position, but number 1 goes to Knuckles the Echidna. So that way he could able to look after his Master Emerald after all, so. But since this is on the medium difficulty, unfortunately though, the actual trophy itself, the actual emerald itself is actually silver as opposed to green. I believe in order to actually get green emeralds is the fact that you have to do it on hard or harder or higher. So join me next time on Let's Play Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed Grand Prix mode is the fact we're moving on to the Arcade Cup, so see you then.